Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to go over our daily technical analysis update of commodities. I'm focusing on commodities because that's where I think the opportunities are. I'm going to give you my financial opinions around it. We're going to work through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow. If you guys need any help with anything commodity related or even stock market related for that matter, check out finding-value.com, become a platinum member, join our community. It's a fun community. We have these platinum question and answer sessions that we have on the weekends. You can listen in, you can participate, you can ask questions, we can go back and forth, and you can learn a lot about investing. It's about accelerating the development of yourself to become a better investor. We also go over a whole bunch of really good opportunities, like I'm going to do with our midweek update this week, which I'll be releasing here today on the website. Let's dive in. Let's see what's going on with the markets. Again, I'll give you my opinion. I'm a longer-term investor. I don't play the short-term market movements, but I do try to time my purchases as best I can. So let's dive in here. We've got the DXY, which is the relative strength indicator of the dollar. Now, we're getting some selling pressure here. We got some today, down 0.52%. And there's an interesting dynamic that I've noticed when doing a certain ratio. I'm going to do the ratio right after this. But we've got a down candlestick in the DXY. So what that means is that the dollar is weakening in relationship to other currencies. Now, that's a pretty big down day. That could be considered a bearish. We've got a bearish engulfing, or bearish piercing here, bearish engulfing here. What does that mean? It just means that the candlesticks are likely to head lower to the downside from the candlestick perspective. We are bouncing off this support level down here. We kind of touched it and we bouncing on up, and I do think we could roll back over. Now, one thing I want to talk about real quick, and I haven't talked about it too much, is the DXY to TNX ratio. What this ratio is the dollar, the DXY divided by the 10-year yield. And what I noticed in the 1970s is we had this large inflationary event where we had a declining, basically the DXY, even though it was going down, was declining faster than yields. That relationship was. So you could see that was a declining, that red arrowed there. Now, if I zoom in here and kind of zoom in towards most recent stuff, this here looks like we were kind of coming up in an increasing DXY to TNX ratio environment. And then in 2020, we hit this bottom here with the ratio, and that ratio ever since has been declining. And it's been declining, declining, declining. Now, are we going to continue to decline downward, much like the 1970s decline here? Now, the 70s was kind of a not as steep decline. This is a little bit ridiculous here with the DXY TNX ratio because yields got so cheap. But if we continue to decline, that kind of tells me that we're in an inflationary environment. And if we zoom in on the corner here, you can see we've had a pretty big move lower just recently from February, beginning of February all the way on. So that is one thing I wanted to show everybody. Yields continue higher. It is a little bit interesting that we had a little bit of bearish engulfing, bearish piercing there. That generally indicates that we want to head lower, but look what the pricing did. It's going higher. So this here means that the momentum was going higher. We tried to turn this thing back down and go lower, but guess what happened? Sellers came into the market selling bond and yields go higher. So they're selling bonds and the yield price, which is what we're looking at, yields, is going higher. So that looks good to continue higher. Even though I said yesterday we got some signals for a potential turn. The turn did not happen. TYX also getting some some yield pressure, moving on up. So it's selling pressure in bonds, yields move higher. Will this turn down lower or will this move on higher? I am guessing higher because of what we're seeing in the 10-year yield. And the 10-year yield went up higher than the 30-year yield, which means the curve is inverting. And I'll show you what that is there. So bond prices continued lower today, down 1.3%. And we have a struggle or a battle going between buyers and sellers at this moment. Looking at the TYX-TNX ratio of yields, we went down lower. And that's typically bearish for precious metals. Now, we have a split here, right? We've got yields higher. The yield curve is inverting. This means it inverts when you go down. And we've got the dollar lower. Dollar lower generally is a kick in the butt to the upside for precious metals. Higher yields, looking backwards, have typically been bearish for precious metals, and an inverting yield curve is bearish for inverted metals. Inverted for precious metals. The CRB index continues higher. We've got oil, natural gas that went up. We've got copper going up. We've got a lot of those commodities going up. I redrew this, and I'm just connecting these lines through here, and I connected the bottom lines through here because we've got maybe perhaps a bigger pattern going on, and maybe we could break here to the upside here at any second. There's a lot of really good patterns that are forming in a lot of the energy sectors, and even in some of the base metal sectors, and uranium and all these other ones. So we could see a break to the upside. Fertilizer's also looking pretty good. CRB to S&P 500 breaking to the upside out of this channel here as well. So that is starting to make some headway where commodities are starting to outperform the overall stock market as well. That is positive for commodities. Now, gold, it was higher today, even in the face of higher yields and in the face of an inverting yield curve. But we had a weaker dollar. So we're up $10 for gold, and it does look pretty good. We're getting some momentum. The Green Army is showing up. And again, I'd like to see that continue. We could see a pullback at any time with a little, 3 little candlesticks or 2 little candlesticks next to these guys. That's usually kind of how it comes and stair steps up. But it's looking more positive. These green candlesticks are somewhat relevant and large, and we'll see if that can continue. It's not massively, it's not like gigantic candlesticks like this big move here, but it's something. Silver also heading a little bit higher. We're going to have to see if we can pump higher or if this is going to roll over and kind of roll over like that. I'm inclined to say that this is going to roll over than just rocket on higher. But again, the short term's the hardest to predict. Gold is strengthening up. Silver could very well put in a fat candlestick that can change my mind in one day. Platinum also getting a little bit more buying pressure today. We do have a little wick at the top. It does look like there's a little bit of resistance there, but that's also looking better. We are contracting in the opening and closing prices of each of these candlesticks. So as that contracts, we could see a rollover as well. So that is platinum there. The XAU to gold ratio looks very good. People are starting to pile into the gold and silver mining companies. That is one sign that the precious metals group or that group of precious metals could go higher with time. And again, we are at incredibly low levels for gold and silver miners in relationship to gold. And we are strengthening slowly into this downtrend line. We break this downtrend line. What I call there is the need to break this line for happiness for gold and silver mining companies and the owners of it. If we can break this, I will change my mind in a heartbeat and be so freaking bullish on the precious metal sector that it's going to be ridiculous. GDX also firming up today. So we're getting a little bit of firming up today. Again, I'm not saying that we're just going to go straight higher. We got to see some more buying pressure. We got to see this. I think we're going to probably base out a little bit here like this, maybe. Some sideways motion is my guess for a little bit. SILJ also moving higher. This is a pretty strong candlestick today, up 3.1%, finishing strongly as well, which is really good. This is good. It means money's coming and buying the gold and silver mining companies, which is also gives us a sign that we could see the precious metals themselves also rise. Crude oil, it was down most of the day, but it looks like it finished strong. And you know what? It doesn't matter how you open. It matters how you finish. and you want to finish strong. So we finished strong today. We're basically finishing where the closing price is. We've got a little bit of a resistance line through here, not a very strong one. The more important one that I'm watching is this guy going across somewhere in this range here. In this general vicinity, we want to get through and break through about $82 and close above 82 and get up around 83-ish and clear through that resistance line. That's where I will say I'm already ultra bullish, don't get me wrong, but I'll become even more bullish if we start breaking some of these resistance lines and basically solidifying this downtrend into an uptrend, because when we break through that, we're basically getting a new high. And that's what's important. It's getting that new high. Natural gas, slightly higher today, 2.62%. I mean, that is slightly for natural gas. Natural gas is a very volatile, we'll say, a commodity. It's one of the most volatile, and the reason I love it so much. But we are moving higher. We could see a little bit of a pullback back to this support line back here where we broke out. A lot of the times it likes to gravitate towards that, but it doesn't have to, but sometimes it does. I think natural gas is an excellent spot to be looking right now. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I've been filling my pockets with natural gas companies down in this general vicinity down here. Looking at XOP, yeah, you know me, looking strong today. Now, what's kind of cool here is we had a bearish day yesterday. This was a selling pressure day, known as a bearish engulfing. But we answered back. The buyers came in here, and we put in a bullish piercing. What that means is that the opening price gaps lower. That's the opening price. And then we close above the 50th percentile of the day before. That is what's called a bullish piercing. It's just a broken down trend when you look at it from a different perspective. So when we look at it from this perspective, you have a downtrend from the day before. It gaps lower and breaks all the way on up and finishes above the 50th percentile of the day before. So this looks pretty good. You can even do technical analysis on the dailies. What we had here is a continuation pattern to the upside. It's a consolidation. One hump, two hump, the third hump, and then the boom higher. And that just goes over and over. We can use our technical analysis on different time frames to trade or to invest and get the best entry point possible. Now, I don't do too much on the dailies. I usually come back out, look at daily candlesticks, and look kind of a bigger picture view, which spans over multiple years. That's definitely the span that I like to look at, which is this viewpoint here. Because I'm investing for the longer term. And what I see here is very positive. We're coming up. And remember the three humps, kind of the one hump, two hump, and then the third hump. This is a consolidation pattern right here that we're going through. And when this consolidation is over, we'll probably break to the upside and have a big old run out of this thing. On a bigger picture view, you can say that this is a shoulder, a head, and then a shoulder that is scribing out, which is an inverted head and shoulder bottoming pattern, which could eventually break and move on higher. So that's what it looks like from different time frames. And you can be bullish and bearish on different time frames using technical analysis. But this looks very good for XOP. And if crude oil continues higher and natural gas continues higher, I don't see why this wouldn't continue higher as well. OIH, the energy service companies, also looking bullish. We're sitting on top of support. We use that support. That's what the wick on the candle is, and we're starting to move higher for energy service companies. Now, I've been liking the energy service companies this entire past year. So I've started that website, which is the Finding-Value. We started it in March, which is basically this time frame here. And we've been looking a lot at the energy service companies. We've been buying a whole bunch of different energy service companies at the bottoms for a variety of different areas in energy service. And they've worked out extremely well. So I do think that will continue. It does look good to continue higher for OIH. Nice, very strong day today. And that goes counter to what we saw yesterday. So the buyers and sellers are duking it out. We do have a bullish engulfing here. We had a bearish candlestick yesterday, and now we have a bullish piercing today. So that still looks very good for a move on up. It looks good on the long-term, medium-term, and short-term time frame for energy service companies. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, we got good buying pressure today, finished quite strong. We do have a reversal candlestick here, which is a bullish engulfing. We still have these large selling pressure days, these two, that just kind of blew us out. We do not have as much selling pressure as buying pressure. We do not have as much buying pressure on this side as the selling pressure here. Sometimes these like to roll over and head lower. That's what I've seen in the past. So even if we get it, don't be afraid. Back out, take a bigger picture view. The time frame back here means we are squeezing up. We're squeezing up in this pattern that we've got to break. That's the reason we keep hitting our head on here. We may have to go all the way out to the corner in June or July. It's possible that we go sideways for even longer. And remember, longer consolidations generally have stronger breakouts, more fuel for the fire when we do start this burn to the upside. We are under a large resistance at about 18.15. We got to break through that as well, and that is one of the things that we want to break through. So the first one is this downtrend line. Break that first, and then break 18.15, and then we're off. Well, we'll probably do a back test. We'll probably do something like this, guys. We'll probably come back down. Everyone's going to get mad. They're going to say, oh, uranium's, horrible. And then I'm going to buy it down here. We're going to come on up, break through it, retest, break through it, retest, do that double hump thing, and then just rip it. Rip it. And when we rip it, everyone's going to go chase and FOMO into it, and we'll have our entry points at a much lower entry point, hopefully. URNM also, still, look at that thing. It's right in the corner there, guys. It's right in the corner. Let's go to the weeklies. The weeklies firming up a little bit. The daily candlesticks. So we're up today. Nice, strong candlestick. It looks very good. Let's continue this momentum higher, buyers. Let's keep the pressure on. We've got a strong resistance line going across here. That is at 34.60. 34.60. We have another resistance line above that at 35. We got to get through this resistance, get up there, do a little retest, and break to the motherland. The motherland will fill our pockets with $100 bills. That's our goal. The goal isn't to be scared out. The goal isn't to, drop a deuce in our pants because we've got volatility. We need to be calm. We need to look low, higher low, higher low. Keep that low coming up into this resistance line. We'll break through it. Give the buyers time to break these sellers down. Give them time. We'll break them down, guys. And this could happen quick, and it may not happen quick. I don't know the time frame. Your opportunities may slip through your hands if you sit on your hands forever. And that's not advice. That's just kind of me describing the situation that I've seen before. TAN also moving on up. That is squeezing and squeezing up into the corner here. So we're squeezing still. And at some point, we'll break. And I don't know if this is going to do a break lower and then a move on up, which would be a false breakdown move, which would mirror this side over here, which is a possibility. We've got copper, COPX. This is the double booty bottom. Everyone likes their booties, at least maybe I do. But we've got a nice move higher here. Now, would I have projected this move here? No, I wouldn't have. But this thing shot on higher, and I just sit in these things, guys. That's how I play. But we did get a little bit of support right where all the support should be, and that's where it jumped. It made its jump. So it broke out, did a little retest, and then boom, gone. Hopefully that momentum continues. It's a very nice candlestick. It finished very strong. That's looking good. LIT slightly higher, right at support resistance. We've got REMX up a little bit today. I do think that this is putting in the rest. The rest is here. It's kind of just resting, and then eventually we'll break to the upside. That is the double booty bottom, or I should say the double bottom. I call it the booty bottom. Now, what's a little bit surprising is the S&P 500 is down a little bit today. It's got all this little rash of small candlesticks, little rash going on there. And then we've got the NASDAQ, which also is getting rashed up. It's right on support. I don't really care where this goes. I don't have any skin in the game in any of these, but weaker dollar, stronger yields, it may not work well for the overall markets that are US dollar based. But EEM, well, weaker dollar, I like that, right? And these guys are generally very rich in commodities. This to me looks like it's trying to put in an inverted head and shoulders here. And we have a breakout, we do usually a retest, and then we go, baby. So we could see a move higher in emerging markets. So that's looking good. XHB, which is the home builders, slightly higher yields today. Home builders aren't going to like the higher yields. That's also getting the rash. I just make these things up. The rash is a whole bunch of small candlesticks that go up and down next to each other, and it doesn't really go anywhere. A dead period is when you're coming down and you get higher and it just kind of consolidates and goes like that. That's the dead period here. A rash is when you kind of break out and then you come and it just doesn't know where to go. It just rashes out. So that we got the rash going on for XHB. We've got MOO. That's also getting rashed out here. You can see it's right in a rashing area, right on support. But it's just going up and down. It's not necessarily a dead period because it could be maybe, but it's just moving there right on support. We've got copper. Copper's had a strong day today, up 2%. Copper, I think, is going to move on higher here at any second. We are coming into shortages, I should say, of deficits, not shortages, but deficits in copper, which is going to eat through inventories. Bigger picture view, we really needed a break where this white line is. And we came back, we broke out of that. And then we're sitting here doing a little bit of a consolidation. I think we're going to break to the upside at any point, make new all-time highs. And people who own copper stocks and everything will probably be pretty happy. But I just keep zoning in here, and we've got some good buying pressure. Are we just going to rocket higher? Maybe. Guys, I don't like predicting anything in the short term, but I can say this. Buyers and sellers are duking it out here. Strong selling pressure, strong buying pressure. It's going back and forth. Which way this thing's going to break and eventually end up, I think we're going higher in the longer term, but in the short term, we're getting some volatility here. It's really what we're doing. Lumber, slightly lower today. Well, lower today. And I think we're going to move sideways for a little bit before moving on higher. We've got iron ore slightly lower. I'm not going to click on that one. The chart hasn't been updating recently. Nickel has been a little, basically flat, but I do think nickel will eventually work its way on up. But we're just going to do a little retest here first. Aluminum is also doing a retest. We've got a breakout coming through across here if it decides to show up. There's an inverted head and shoulders there. There's your kind of breakout there. And then we've got potential retest and then a break higher. Baltic Dry Index is looking fantastic. We're breaking to the upside again. I do like me some Baltic Dry Index. False breakout here, guys. I called that. If you've been a part of the channel, you know I like calling these false breakouts sometimes. And then Newcastle coal's been moving down. People are losing interest in this. It's got my interest that is gaining. Maybe I'll start looking at some coal companies for everybody. I'll start really focusing in on the sector if this thing gets down here. And I'll be looking for some potential buys in coal. Why is that? So generally what happens is you get these large basing periods. You break out of these basing periods, which we did right here. That's a breakout. We come up, we did a little retest kind of. We shot on higher. I think this is going to eventually work its way higher again. I think we're in a new uptrend. It's just volatile as all get out. And the volatility can lead to very good entry points in a lot of different things. And I'll see if the charts look good in coal companies for the members. Ethereum up 3%. That's looking quite strong, guys. I think we're going higher here. I think we're moving on up for Ethereum. I think it's going to launch at some point, and Bitcoin's also looking like it's trying to put in a pattern as well, and I think we could potentially go higher. So that is Ethereum and Bitcoin. I talked about this being a potential bottom in this general vicinity in here. You'd be up handsomely already, and what I would be doing is sitting on my hands and doing nothing if you had an entry point where I had. I didn't buy Ethereum and Bitcoin. I did some other things with some options and other stuff, but I'm just sitting on my hands, going to wait for this thing to rip it, and I think that is a possibility. So that's what we've got for today, guys. hopefully you guys are all jazzed up. I mean, everything looks pretty good. Hopefully we can start breaking to the upside with precious metals. Hopefully oil can get some momentum, break through that $82 area. Hopefully natural gas keeps moving. I know I'm saying hopefully a lot, but that's what I'm hoping to happen. If it doesn't, longer buying opportunities. That's the way I'm viewing it. Long term, going up. Long term. Long term being measured in months and years. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Hopefully you're having a great day. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Look for the midweek update if you guys are Platinum members on the website. We'll catch you there. This is Finding Value. Catch you next time.